Good afternoon and welcome to Budapest. We are all set at a Formula One favourite. Time for a crucial qualifying hour in Hungary. We've got 20 of the best drivers in the world and a storied circuit. It awaits us, and let's have a look at it in greater detail. 4.3 kilometres, 2.7 miles. We are setting the grid for the 70-lap Hungarian Grand Prix, the 40th to be held around this circuit in the World Championship. The race lap record and the track record, they both belong to Lewis Hamilton, who had the only pole this regulation era of his career at this circuit. As part of a Ferrari pairing trying to take the fight to McLaren. The tyres, the C5, the C4 and the C3. It appears to be a straight fight between the McLarens, but this place has taught us through the years that anything can happen. They've flocked into this circuit once again. That was the old circuit. It has undergone extensive renovations, a new grandstand, a new pit building, and the same challenge, luxurious surroundings for those on either side. The drivers are ready to thread the needle and dance their way around this fantastic circuit that runs to 14 kilometres. So far, it has been McLaren's weekend. They have topped every single session so far, but Jolyon Palmer. There's rain in the air, and we have seen mighty qualifying performances in the past between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. For Lewis Hamilton, especially around here, he's got the most poles with 9.
And we often get some rain around here as well. It can sweep in. It can be quite heavy when it arrives as well, from past experience. But it is a low chance of rain right now. It's a 20% chance officially, and it is dry and still pleasantly warm. So for now, everyone's going to be thinking about a dry session, but with half an eye on the radar to make sure that they're not going to be caught out by impending rain. And it does look dark from some angles, doesn't it? Coming in from the outside of turn 1 and the main straight. So that's the direction of travel and the darker clouds. Can anyone beat McLaren? Can Ferrari be the team to do that with more time to work on their upgrade package? They've looked better this weekend, but is it enough? Red Bull have looked at sea. Can Verstappen find something in qualifying, which he's so accustomed to doing on a Saturday afternoon now? Kimi Antonelli has had a really good run through practice in comparison to George Russell. Mercedes haven't had outstanding pace, but certainly it's been a better time for Kimi. And can Aston Martin back up some really encouraging practice? Lots to look out for in this qualifying hour.
Yeah, the rain would change things dramatically. We've not had any wet running so far this weekend. Kimi Antonelli's had a much better weekend in recent times. Last 7 races, he has 1 point scoring finish. Looking for a return to Q3 and to give himself a foundation for the rest of the weekend. Fernando Alonso missed FP1. He is nursing a muscular issue. The driver who turned 44 years of age on Tuesday. He is the oldest driver to be competing in the World Championship and the first one past 44 years of age since Graham Hill in 1975. The crowd are dancing in the main grandstand and all around the circuit. We saw some of the traditional moves down in the paddock. And if we're going to get a traditional qualifying, Max Verstappen's going to be at the front. He's the second best qualifier on average this year. He's ahead in terms of average position, ahead of Lando Norris, which seems absolutely impossible. But looking at the pole positions in 2025, Piastri has 4, Verstappen has 4, and Lando Norris has 4 as well. George Russell with the other one. And Anya Taylor-Joy is attending down at Ferrari. She's been around a couple of times, a regular attendee of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, she was at Silverstone with Ferrari just a couple of races ago, so on tour with the team, hoping for a better result here than they had there.
It's all Alex Albon could talk about in the post-race show.
I've never seen drivers so distracted, actually, coming in and starstruck.
Green light at the end of the pit lane. No cars on track at the moment. Either way, qualifying and the first section is underway. 18 minutes ticking down. We'll lose the 5 slowest qualifiers at the end of this one. For a reference for you, that was Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda and Isaac Hadjar, who started the weekend really, really well in FP1, but had a spin in FP3 and wasn't able to complete his qualifying simulation.
Racing Bull still hoping for a good result here. Generally have had good performance for years, actually, in low-speed corners, but it's carried into to this season as well. Hajar particularly strong, generally over the low speed, but had a spin earlier on, and it wasn't the easiest to practice. But this is just another weekend. It's a short lap, less than 4.4 kilometres. It's going to be difficult for everyone, especially at the start of qualifying, to navigate themselves some clear space. And with a short lap comes tiny margins. And Hajar could be out in Q1. He could go and be P5 on the grid. That's the state of play right now. It's all about hooking up the perfect lap. And around here, the lap is complicated. It's tight, it's twisty. You've got to ride curbs in places. You've got to miss them in others. And threading it through is easier said than done.
Isaac Hajar's best qualifying performance of the season. Back in Monaco. Slow average speed there, slow average speed here. And he'll be hoping that the same traits of the car mean he can at least reach the final part of qualifying. This is the first part, looking at George Russell's qualifying form on your screen.
It's easy to forget that Montreal pole wasn't that long ago.
No, not at all. If you look at the grand scheme of the season, Canada 4 races ago.
And that was with the upgraded package as well that they've reverted on for this weekend, Mercedes, to try and understand the slump, which is just a slump of 3 races that have been abject. Russell, the class of the field in Montreal, pole and a win, Antonelli joining him on the podium, and since then, really nothing to celebrate for Mercedes. So they're back to basics, and it looks like another weekend where they're struggling a little bit for pace compared to the other front runners. We'll see if they can come alive in this session.
George Russell was on pole here in 2022. It was his first in Formula One. The cooler temperatures played a part that day. And to give you the temperatures in 2025, the track temperature is 47 degrees. The air temperature up at 29, dramatically up from the practice conditions of yesterday.
Yeah, it has come up a long way. Very muggy conditions at the moment. Williams in that tight midfield are worried about their pace. Alex Albon said before the weekend that this is probably on paper one of their worst 2 races, along with Barcelona, where they had a really tricky time. And that's why they've gone straight out on the top of some ordinary practice sessions. They're straight out to it, and we're launching into a flying lap immediately with Carlos Sainz, who's immediately having a big lock-up on the brakes, and that's not a good way to start. He's got wide and has a bit of oversteer on traction.
Driver question for you. When it goes wrong at the first turn, how hard is it to refocus for the remainder of the lap?
It's tricky because it just puts you out of kilter. What I would say is these laps here for Williams, they know they're not going to be the best laps. So the track is dirty, which is why everyone else is waiting. It will rubber in. You can see with Albon, it's just sliding. So these laps are never going to be your peachy Q2, wham it straight through and park it up. So you have to keep pushing because it's learning more than actually laying down a lap time. And that's why we're seeing Sainz carry on what will be a lost cause, and Albon already fighting the car, but just having to carry on to dial it in so that when they do go for a new set of tyres, they can already have that bit of information. Maybe Sainz needs to think, okay, I'll take out 5 metres of braking in the first corner. I'll turn in slightly later. Whatever it is that he's worked out has gone wrong, and get it right. And they could do 3 sets of tyres by going this early.
So by design, Williams out there first of all. Albon knowing that it was going to be an uphill task, and is working away at that steering wheel time and time again. Track will rubber in. Had the Formula 2 race in between. Since Formula 1 cars were last on the circuit, he comes over the line and he does a 17.4. So Williams out there for the first run. Other cars making their way onto the circuit now on outlaps. We're keeping you updated on the rain that at the moment is still missing the circuit. There's the lockup for a 4-time Grand Prix winner at the first turn.
So they were capable of doing a 16.5 in practice earlier on. That was Sainz losing a heap of time in the first corner. Albon then was also fighting the car, and they're a long way off what they did just a few hours ago in practice, also on a soft tyre. So a little bit of driver error, a little bit of track evolution that we're going to see as well in Q1.
Here's the reigning world champion, Max Verstappen, onto the circuit at the venue where he took his first ever Formula 1 pole position here in 2019. Other cars slowly making their way onto the racetrack. He is going nice and early, hoping for the best balance of the weekend so far. Red Bull, as a team, have been struggling across the course of the weekend.
Just trying to find the balance. It's been understeer one moment, leading to oversteer, then they dial out the understeer and just get the oversteer. And that's across tyre compounds as well. So Verstappen out and getting on with it fairly early for him as well, and trying to find that balance in the window to get this car working. It has been their toughest 3 hours of practice so far this year, but we have so often seen them come alive, particularly Max come alive in qualifying. So let's see, first flying lap, he's getting a feel for it right now, and it looks tidier for Max, 2/3 of the way through the lap.
Max Verstappen, lowest he's been on the grid this year is 7th position. He comes off the back of a 4th on the grid start for the Belgian Grand Prix. He seemed to have more pace than Charles Leclerc, but couldn't do anything to get by throughout the wet and then dry Grand Prix that we got 1 week ago. 14th round of the Formula One World Championship, and he goes over the line with a 1:16.3. Lando Norris 300ths up at the middle sector, and we join him having rotated the car through 12. This is 13. He's going for a very wide entry into 14 in practice. Not as wide this time.
Very wide exit from 13 though, getting right out towards the AstroTurf, and then found the grass on the entry to 14. In fact, yesterday afternoon he was too wide. Still wins every time they really pull the cars over to that white line on the outside of 14 as we see Piastri come through, and look like he's on a better lap than his teammate on this first flyer, and he is across all 3 sectors.
Yeah, comfortably ahead of Norris. He gets his time on the board. Last year, Lando Norris was on pole position, and it's Oscar Piastri who took the win. It was his first in Formula One. Lewis Hamilton has 8 wins around this circuit, 9 pole positions, and he goes around the 14th and final corner. Just a slight correction. As he crosses the line, he's 3/10 off the back of Piastri's benchmark time.
So Tsunoda's come through and is within 2/10 of Verstappen, which is a good start for Yuki, who had a really, really tough practice earlier on. If Max was struggling to find the balance, Yuki was even more perturbed at the direction that he'd gone in the Red Bull overnight. And he's on to a better start here. Piastri brushing the gravel. We'll see so many drivers do that. And we'll see the second one in quick succession. Piastri and Hamilton, both quick, both running through the gravel.
Leaves a lot on the racing line. Drivers concerned about that yesterday. The first time it happened in practice didn't appear to affect anyone in terms of damage of the underside of the car. So much of the grip of the car, the downforce of the car is generated by the floor in this regulation set. Not the best lap for Charles Leclerc, who's found himself in P6 behind the Aston Martin pair, who've just been split by Isaac Hadjar.
Great pace from both Aston Martins on the first run. So maybe they can back up their practice pace this weekend. Stroll up there, 10.5 down on Alonso, who's had a great run of results in Budapest. Antonelli looking like he's on a good lap. So the track is getting better and better. Both McLarens did a 1:14.9 earlier on. So we are away from the best pace we've seen so far this week.
With Russell ahead of Antonelli only once this year. Has Kimi Antonelli been the lead Mercedes on the grid? That was back in Miami for the Grand Prix format. In the sprint format, he took pole position. There's Andrew Shovlin, and he's the trackside engineering director. He's been with that team a long time, even as far back as the era when it was known as Brawn. And he was Jenson Button's race engineer on his way to the 2009 title. Sainz and Albon going again. We began the qualifying session with them. They're now on their second runs, 8 minutes to go. Drop zone is Behrman, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, and Sainz is going to come across the line. Let's see where he goes. He goes up to 50.
There's a lot left in there for Williams. That's a second set of tyres that they've already thrown on Carlos Sainz's car. This is Albon's turn to have his second shot. These soft tyres this weekend will only do 1 lap at the most. They are fragile in that final sector, and Williams really cementing their position as hoping to get into Q2, but not having a huge amount more in the tank. The track getting better, both drivers already having a sighter, and they're only 15th and 16th.
Alex Albon, P5 on the grid for the last Grand Prix at a circuit that suits that Williams car way more than this one. Belgium, high speed throughout. This is a slower average speed. Mechanical grip of the car, absolutely vital. And let's check in with Nico Hulkenberg, one of the surprises of the season, but he is 7-6 down in the teammate head-to-head with Gabriel Bortoleto, a rookie driver. He's the latest one to brush the gravel on the exit of turn 12.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really cost you any time doing that. It's a short run on the exit. You're not going over track limits. You'd rather not, but you are just opening up the circuit as well at the same time. So you're opening up this corner. If you brush through, maybe you lose a hundredth or two, but not really much more than that.
Carlos Sainz in the drop zone, so is Yuki Tsunoda. Check the gap from Tsunoda to Verstappen though. Verstappen down in 13th position after that first run. Behrman in 18th, Gasly in 19th, and Ocon in 20th. The most remarkable part of that, Colapinto, P10 right now. And Colapinto has found himself ahead of Gasly throughout the weekend so far. That was the case in FP3 as well.
I feel like so many of these drivers are going to have to improve though because of the track evolution. So Colapinto went out later in that group and jumped up. It was a good lap from Franco to be up in the top 10, as that is a very strong effort, but he's going to have to improve. Conversely, Verstappen and Tsunoda were probably the first of the non-Williams drivers to get times on the board, and they immediately got toppled by everyone. The times are again very close. There's only 4 tenths from Verstappen up towards Lando Norris, so you can see small gains. And when you go out, as Fernando Alonso is doing now, on a new set of soft tyres, you just feel that grip immediately underneath you. You can brake a few meters later. You can roll off the brakes a little bit earlier, carry more minimum speed, and then squeeze the throttle on earlier as well, taking the traction from the new set of tyres, the extra grip that you get. And around a circuit like this, where there's 14 corners, all very, very close together, you just find yourself into an absolute flow state around here, and the time comes down pretty quickly.
Speed has increased and increased and increased throughout the years. Not quite as quick as the 2020 specification of cars. Still, it is far, far quicker around these corners than it has been when we first came here in 1986. Felipe Drugovich had to deputise for Fernando Alonso, who was struggling for FP1. That was not run a rookie session. The teams have to do 4 occasions across the season. That was an injury substitution. Fernando Alonso happy enough to continue for the rest of the race weekend. And Aston Martin, having come from a circuit where it's all about the efficiency, they've bolted on all the downforce they've got available to them. They've had an encouraging Friday at FP3, but we've seen that time and time again. They're aiming to book their place in the second part of qualifying with both cars, and we're looking on board at Lance Stroll climbing the hill to turn number 4.
Big lap this one for Lance Stroll. The pace of the car looks to be actually good this weekend. They were struggling so much in Spa, and recently Fernando's been able to get performances out of it that Lance just hasn't. But so far, both drivers have been able to get pace out of it through the 3 hours of practice. But Lance needs to hook up this lap and cement that promise that we've seen from Aston Martin so far. And we're through 10 turns, and it is looking pretty tidy for Lance Stroll.
Let's put that into context. If you look at all of the qualifying performances this year, Fernando Alonso ranks in 10th on average grid position, Lance Stroll down in 20th. So Stroll, who's been as high as 8th on the grid, is currently in 8th position, looking for that improvement. Fernando Alonso has the fastest first sector of anyone so far. 14th and final corner for the Canadian driver. Where does he improve to? Look to the lap time, not the position, because that's the important thing. It's a 15.6 for Stroll.
That is a good lap from Stroll. Alonso's going to beat it on this lap for the Spaniard through the final corner. Loads of other drivers are on outlaps or still in the pit, so Aston Martin have gone very early with this as Alonso jumps to the top of the times. 4 tenths clear of Lance.
I got a screw stuck on my front right.
On the tire?
Yeah. It's not in, but...
I will monitor.
Unusual one for Esteban Ocon, reporting a screw on the surface of the tyre.
Does he pick that up as he's left the garage and it's just stuck to the tyre? Yeah, you can see it.
On the right.
So, I mean,
he said it was on, not in, but...
I got a screw stuck on my front right.
On the tire?
Yeah. It's not in, but...
I will monitor.
They look to be right in the midfield fight this weekend. There's nothing anyone can do to take that off. So he's got to hope that somehow it comes free rather than embed itself in the front right.
Unusual situation to be in. Ocon will monitor that. Max Verstappen went out early for his first effort. Puts him in 13th, though. It's a circuit where they've been tripping over each other in terms of drivers getting in the way. Out laps compared to push laps. Oscar Piastri is lighting up the timing page, left-hand side of your screen. And Max Verstappen is currently in 13th, being compared to Fernando Alonso, who's fastest.
So that Aston Martin pace is good, but it also shows how much the track is evolving as well. Piastri's about to nudge down the best time. And the fact that Stroll is up in 4th place at the moment with a good gain as well shows everyone's got to find heaps to make sure that they're going to be safely through.
Piastri goes fastest by 0.07 of a second. Verstappen is back by 0.3, but that would be a big improvement. That's the margin that Lando Norris is behind, and he's just gone into 3rd place.
So the McLarens are still on a scrub set of tyres. They've not changed for new boots, and new tyres give you a lot of performance. Verstappen's not massively finding it, though, is he here?
No, not what he needs compared to the McLarens. He's behind Lance Stroll, having gone out after Stroll from one Red Bull to another. This is Yuki Tsunoda, who's improving, and he gets himself to a 15.8. He goes into 8th position.
The Mercedes stay in the garage. They've not left the pit, so they're happy that Antonelli there, now dropping to 8th, is safely through. There will be everyone behind trying to improve now. Tsunoda is 9th, and they should be safe, the Mercedes.
Hülkenberg goes up to 11th. Bortoleto was very strong in free practice earlier on. He was in 9th position. He's now in 5th position. The Williams drivers need to improve. They're setting personal bests.
There are 2 Ferraris now, 11th and 13th, and tumbling.
They're going to get a reply if the track stays green. And over the line to 7th goes Carlos Sainz.
Right, now I'm worried if I'm Kimi Antonelli, sitting in the garage with 2 Ferraris behind, who are surely going to jump up the order.
Gasly, round the final corner, across the line. Where can he go? He gets up to 13th position. And now he is the lead Alpine. Hülkenberg is at risk, but Charles Leclerc right on the bubble. He is at the risk now. He 15. It's Colapinto, Lawson, Albon, and the 2 Hasses, Behrman and Ocon, on board with Hamilton.
Colapinto's ahead of Gasly, and Tsunoda's heading towards the drop zone as well in 12th, shuffling down.
Charles Leclerc needs a lap. He is in the drop zone. Alex Albon improves, but it's only to 17th position. It wasn't good enough. Personal best in all 3 sectors for Alexander Albon. His teammate is in 7th. He's 17th.
The bottom 3 are all improving as well. Lawson, Behrman and Ocon, as well as the 2 Ferraris. So there's plenty of time for this to shuffle around.
Charles Leclerc has the fastest first sector of anyone so far. He needs a clean lap. He needs a lap that takes him through into the top 15. That's what he's looking for. Ocon is out. Hülkenberg is in the drop zone as well. Lawson is still on a lap. He's still fighting. Albon is done. Albon is out. He's eliminated as well. Gasly is the driver at risk. If Charles Leclerc can improve, Lawson is improving up against Gasly as well. That's the lap across the line for Charles Leclerc.
It's going to be Lawson or Tsunoda, assuming Leclerc gets through over the line, which he does now.
Now it's logged, so it took a while for it to log, but it's 5th fastest time. Slight problem with the transponder. Lawson's in the hunt here. He's trying to displace Yuki Tsunoda, his old teammate. Lawson comes over the line, and Tsunoda is knocked out in the first part of qualifying. Elimination, and Colapinto is the lead Alpine on the grid for only the 2nd time since he became Pierre Gasly's team.
It's not whoppingly quick from the Ferraris at the end on new tyres, but they are through. Verstappen is through as well in 11th place. Tsunoda is 1.5 tenths away from Verstappen. That's as good a qualifying effort head-to-head with your teammate as you can hope for as Yuki Tsunoda, but Red Bull just don't have the speed. 2 sets of tyres for both of their drivers, and Tsunoda is out in 16th. Well done to Franco Colapinto for nudging it through into 15th. Lawson as well, putting a lap in at the death, and Antonelli, who managed to get through on 1 set of tyres, will breathe a sigh of relief too.
That was all there was, fortunately, so it was a clean lap.
Understood.
Well, frustration for Esteban Ocon. And it won't be the only driver who is disappointed with that. Tsunoda found himself about 1.5 tenths slower than Max Verstappen, but it's not enough to get through. Red Bull struggling this weekend. Hülkenberg, it's his 9th Q1 elimination. occupied most with Lance Stroll, and this is on board with Isaac Hadjar, who finished that session in P3.
Yeah, Bierman impeding me.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. As for that.
Engineer trying to get him.
That was all there was, fortunately, so it was a clean lap.
That's tough.
Conversation there, did he?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be an investigation even for Behrman. Hadjar safely through up in third, and Behrman through as well in 12th position. Gasly out, and we'll see his teammate continue into Q2.
Gasly has been behind his teammate in practice and now in qualifying and plays.
Yeah, Bierman impeding me.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. As for that.
Alex Albon at the back. You don't see that very often. 5th on the grid in the last Grand Prix, 20th for Williams. Tough moment for him, and yeah, really, if you consider that he's the 8th best qualifier of the year, and that is by far his worst qualifying performance.
Yeah, it might not be after this one. Albon 20th, Sainz through in 8th in that as well, so I can't help but feel Alex missed that final lap. 3 sets of tyres the Williams duo put on it, so they went maximum attack just to make it into Q2. Albon obviously will not progress, he's out of the car going to get way, and Sainz will, but he's going to have to carry that used set of tyres now through.
We're sweeping the track at turn 12, which means the start to Q2 is delayed, and we appreciate the marshals doing that. It's going to happen again though, but I appreciate them clearing the racing line for the start of the session.
With all sorts of different techniques going on. The old heavy-duty brush, the leaf blowers out.
We're getting Palmer's analysis a couple of days early here.
The witch's broom.
Let's go and check in with James Hinchcliffe after Q1.
Well, guys, I really want to talk about some of the interesting team dynamics that we've seen so far here. First of all, I want to touch on Carlos Sainz. Is it surprising that Alex Albon is out in Q1? Maybe not. He said this isn't a great track for Williams. It's not a great track for him. But despite it not being a great track for Williams, excellent effort from Carlos Sainz to get himself into Q2, sitting up there in the top 10. Let's talk about Sauber. We mentioned earlier in the weekend how the rookie, Bortoleto, has actually done an incredible job in qualifying against Nico Hülkenberg, who last year was kind of known as a Saturday specialist. He is in to Q2, P6 in that session, while Hülkenberg on the outside looking in. And then, of course, we've got Alpine, who struggled so much yesterday, found some stuff overnight. Found a
Lap time, Gabi?
Gabi lap time 15.58.
Oh, man.
team to have made it. Not so this time. Few mix-ups. We talked about some high-profile outs being a possibility in Q1. Maybe not highest profile outs, but some surprising ones in some of those inter-team battles, guys.
Thank you, Hinch. We are gearing up for the second part of qualifying. But in the end, who was going to make the top 15 came down to Colapinto versus Tsunoda. Alex Brundle can bring us some analysis.
Yuki Tsunoda after that Q3 appearance in Spa does not do so, only 0.05 of a second between the two of them. Let's head down then with Lawson down towards turn one. We've got Tsunoda in white, Lawson is in blue, and it's going to be Tsunoda who takes just a little bit more time down towards turn one, picks up a bit of time. It's really nip and tuck between them till we get right towards the end of the lap. Lawson just a tiny bit quicker and just rolling just that little bit more apex speed through the mid corner of turn two. It's Tsunoda who has the power up the hill, but then Lawson taking it back through the fast corner. Potentially Tsunoda put off a tiny bit with the traffic on the left-hand side of him there as he makes his way in towards turn four. You see the difference though. Tsunoda does pick up a little bit of time back on the way through turn 6 and 7. Slightly more direct on his line in, happy to clatter this inside curb in the Red Bull. Lawson a little bit more delicate on the curbs and then loses out as a result. You can see the gain there for Tsunoda, and actually it's Tsunoda who, as you might imagine, in the Red Bull has a little bit more grip on the switchbacks through to the end of the lap, but it's been plaguing them all weekend long, guys. This nasty balance that the Red Bull has down towards turn 12, it's a 1/10 of a second that would have put Yuki Tsunoda potentially through to the next phase of qualifying. He finds himself slightly wide in the mid-corner of turn 12, and then one of the drivers to brush that gravel on the outside, potentially losing a little bit of time as a result. He's also not that great through the final couple of corners of the lap. Lawson much tighter to the final curb of turn 14 and ekes then through in front of the driver who replaced him, of course, in that leading team earlier on in the year into the middle of Q2, guys. And can't wait to see how Lawson gets on in that next phase.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate the analysis as quick as we can bring it to you. Yuki Tsunoda not that far away from Max Verstappen on the timing page in the end. Verstappen did a 15.7, Tsunoda did a 15.8 in previous years. That's the sort of performance that would put you on the front row of the grid. But Red Bull really struggling for the reasons that Alex just showed you. We've had a delayed start to Q2. And we've swept the track. We're nearly ready to go. 10 seconds away from a green light at the end of the pit lane. The DJ keeping the crowd entertained. And it will be Piastri, Alonso, Hadjar, Norris, Leclerc, Bortoletto, Russell, Sainz, Stroll, Hamilton, Verstappen, Behrman, Antonelli, Lawson and Colapinto are 15, still contending in qualifying.
So I think the pressure now turns to Red Bull to see if Verstappen can make this through to Q3. Tsunoda, we've just seen out in Q1.
Oh, these guys.
The driver has to do the job now. Verstappen has just been told on the radio that things are going to dry up later on. There's no guarantee of that, though. The driver can only play the hand that they've got. These are dream conditions and dream track placement for Kimi Antonelli.
Patch of rain passing turn 1, turn 5, essentially.
Start of the year, makes his way through the rapid turn 11, and that's nicely done for the Italian teenager. Couple of corners compared to get home, dips the wheel on the gravel. We've seen it again. That's turning into the racing line right now. And Verstappen, confirmation of what he's just been told on the radio. Final corner, he rotates the car round, and the Italian comes across the line. Kimi Antonelli puts a time on the board of a 16.3.
Well, 6/10 slower than he managed in Q1. So is the track going away? Russell comes through and he's 4/10 away from what he's just managed in Q1. So I think we are away from the absolute peak of grip so far.
Alonso going even faster behind. First Aston Martin over the line is Lance Stroll, who goes way quicker than both Mercedes. And Fernando Alonso is having a party behind. Fastest Sector 1, Sector 2. And he completes the lap at the circuit where he first won in Formula 1 to do a 15.3.
Yeah, Aston Martin. Never doubted them this weekend. They look absolutely on it, don't they? The Mercedes are on scrub tyres.
Yeah.
They went out at the front of the queue, but again, so they've only used one set of tyres so far in this qualifying. Still, the rain just drizzles down over the pit lane, but it is dry around the second and third sector. So there's a reprieve for the fastest cars, who should still have a rite of passage through if you're in one of these McLarens, with the fastest car so far this weekend by a little margin, and Norris showing that as he just takes one downshift and goes over the crest at turn 4 with a lot of commitment.
Isaac Hadjar goes into third position, fourth place for Ollie Behrman. And Norris trying to extract the best of this mighty McLaren. It's been the class of the field since May last year at most races, but in recent times they have moved into full domination mode. 3 back-to-back 1-2 finishes in Formula 1, and Norris is comfortably ahead. Getting the first runs in Q2. 5 will fall at the end of this session. And yet to see times from Carlos Sainz, the McLarens and the Ferraris. And Franco Colapinto had his time deleted out there. I think there was an error in there as well. Norris has the new benchmark. It's a 1:14.8 for the British driver.
So that is the best lap of the weekend from Lando. So that'll give us a flavour of the track conditions right now. There might be drizzle in the air, but the grip is still there if you're on a new soft tyre. Lewis Hamilton is not on a new soft tyre. Again, the Ferraris, they used 2 sets in Q1 to make sure they were through. They didn't want to do that after encouraging practice sessions, but now they're on a scrub set, and Hamilton only just gets into the top 10 on that.
So Hamilton will go again with fresher rubber later in the session. There are 0.05 of a second between Norris and Piastri after that lap, so evenly matched. 2 contenders for the World Championship, and Charles Leclerc on the used soft rubber finds himself in 10th position. Hamilton in the drop zone then. Sainz, Bortoleto, Antonelli and Colapinto's time was deleted for track limits at turn 9. Cost him a huge amount of time anyway, so he's not lost a great lap there. He would have been wide at a corner where you are going pretty quickly at that stage.
Yeah, I feel like this is a shot at nothing now for Colapinto. Alpine's still not really at the races. If he can pick off 1 or 2 places, that'll be a result that Flavio and the team I think will be pretty happy with. And already he's when you're on a race-by-race contract, if you can outperform your race-winning teammate, you've done pretty well, and he's already got that in the bank for this day.
Let's see what happened at turn 9 for Franco Colapinto.
Scrub tyre, rear grip not there, and the car just sort of falls over on him as he heads in towards turn 9. You build up the G, there's a change of direction in there as well, so you've got plenty going on. And on a new soft, you probably had that little bit of extra grip to take the front end that he's got through there, but on a used tyre, it's just falling lazily into that oversteer, and Franco's caught it, but the lap, as you say, was gone.
Hamilton back to the pits in the drop zone, but not a representative time. They'll be dreaming of the second row on the evidence of practice.
Focus, please, on one thing, which is to go out as soon as possible. Not care about anything else. I want the least cars possible out exit of the pit lane.
Understood.
So Charles Leclerc calling the shots when it comes to the run plan. Why is he desperate to have no one ahead of him?
Because he wants to focus on himself on the outlap here. Ferrari are struggling, Leclerc's had a really solid run-through practice. He's been in the top 3 the whole time. He's not been miles from the McLarens, even if they do seem a little bit too much of a stretch in front. But now suddenly, Ferrari are not having the pace. So Charles is wanting to make sure that his tyres are in the right window.
Focus, please, on one thing, which is to go out as soon as possible. Not care about anything else. I want the least cars possible out exit of the pit lane.
Understood.
And find clear space. So Leclerc knows he's in a car that should be fast enough for Q3. He just wants the least possible other parameters to concentrate on.
Instantly back out onto the circuit, Lance Stroll Now into 5, looking for one of his best qualifying days of the season.
Yeah, it won't take much of an improvement for Lance to book his place in, I think, as a guarantee. Up in 4th, Fernando in 3rd is about 3/10 up the road in terms of lap time, and that's what Lance is going to be shooting for here as the track's getting better and the grip level comes up on a new set of soft tyres here. Just a quick downshift through 11 and then burying it straight on the throttle once again, and Stroll is putting the sectors together.
So the Ferraris leave together. Stroll on an attacking lap. The rest of the field are bound to join him out there on the circuit. Stroll's about to complete things. He's gone out there early. He went for the Charles Leclerc tactic of, I'll take the track nice and early, try and improve. He does improve all 3 sectors of the lap, and it's a 1:15.1 for the Canadian driver.
Wowee. This is the best weekend he's been on for a very long time, I'd say, Lance Stroll, in terms of just dry pace. Up into the top 3. Alonso is still in the garage and could respond, but he's consistent with it as well. It's a really impressive run he's having this weekend, and this is what Charles was wanting to avoid and has avoided: waiting stationary, trying to get into a nice bit of a window. Sainz and Verstappen trying to work out who's going to be ahead. You just don't want to be in this cluster when you're heading out. Get out, concentrate on yourself. That's what Stroll's done, and he's put a nice lap together. This is just always a bit messy.
Not where Sainz wants to be, but he's waiting for everyone to filter by. Now he's able to join. And the same thing for Gabriel Bortoleto in the green car, the green Sauber that you can see. They will all get an opportunity. The rain is in the air, but it is not falling like it was at the start of this session. It will mean you're going to have drivers having to peel out of the way as well. Everyone queued up. 3 minutes to go here. Lando Norris is about to start an attacking lap.
Well, there's been some great performances already in this Q2. Stroll, yeah, we've just seen it. Alonso, first lap, nailed on. Hadjar's there, Behrman's there. Already with really good laps on new tyres. They'll go again and try and improve on that. But what it means is you've got these Ferraris under pressure. At the moment, Hamilton is in the drop zone. If Leclerc improves, then he'll be safe. But if Hamilton improves, Leclerc will need to dig one out. And here he goes then for his final attempt. Antonelli has to improve. He's going to be out as things stand. And then you're looking at Verstappen, even Russell, needing to improve on a new tyre.
Russell's had a torrid run of results. He's gone out in Q1, 3 of the last 4 Hungarian Grand Prix. He's made it out this time. He needs another lap. Hamilton we're on board with into the first turn, left-hand side of your screen. Trackside pictures, now visor cam with Charles Leclerc climbing the hill to turn number 4. We're looking at the information he's getting on his dash. Oh, my word, all over the curve on the exit of 4.
Oh, you can see the work going on behind the wheel on a fast corner there for Charles Leclerc. Visor cam, and he's right out wide on the exit of 7 as well. It's a bit scrappy. Oh, that was awful. Trying to save it on a fast corner there.
High-speed turn 11. High-speed corner since he went through there, and he's being compared to Lando Norris. Remember, Hamilton on the right-hand side is being compared to Charles Leclerc. Bottom 5 being compared to the 10th place time at the moment. And that would put Charles Leclerc, if he carries on this momentum, into what would be 4th position. Let's see if he can carry on the speed. Personal best, Sector 1, Sector 2, add it all together, and he goes behind Fernando Alonso, losing time in that final sector.
Yeah, Hamilton has not been as quick as Leclerc through 2 sectors either, so even though Charles had the big correction coming through turn 4, it was still not too slow. Hamilton's only 7.
Max Verstappen is the driver at risk at the moment. He is in 10th position. Lawson's in the drop zone along with Sainz, Bortoleto and Antonelli, who's hanging on to it.
Hamilton's in big trouble falling down. Lawson's piled in a great lap up to 6th place, and Antonelli's still flying.
He is up compared right now to what we're seeing on the timing page. 6th position for Isaac Hadjar, and Antonelli is all over the road trying to find the grip at the crucial moment.
It's ragged, but it's quite quick.
Let's see whether this books his place in the top 10. That's what he's aiming for. The driver who won here last year in Formula 2 climbs to 8th position.
9 thousandths ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Russell and Verstappen are in the drop zone. They're both pushing as well. I don't know about Antonelli and track limits on that final corner.
Russell gets up to 4th. Hamilton in 11th. Verstappen in P12. For the moment, that is about to change. Max Verstappen gets to 8th place.
So Hamilton is gone. Hamilton is out in a Ferrari that has had more time to understand the upgrades. They've been able to work at it.
Bortoletto, brilliant lap to P10.
Antonelli's gone as well.
Antonelli, Behrman, Hamilton and Sainz find themselves in the drop zone. Colapinto still fighting out there. He'll complete his lap in a moment. Piastri comes over the line. He's in second position. Over to you, Franco Colapinto. Can he save his best until...
Oh yeah, we're gonna be out. Man, I have no rear. I don't know. Like, what the heck?
Okay, let me have a look through that.
Moment there inside the pit of Charles Leclerc's stomach, but he's managed to scoop it up. Lots of drivers fighting the car. Personally, I don't think Mercedes did the right thing for Antonelli there. They should have given him two sets of tyres to go through. He's short of confidence. He's a rookie. He's 18. He's off the back of his trickiest weekend in Formula One. He's off the back of a pretty poor run of form. Give him the confidence. Give him two sets of tyres just so he can have a banker lap and then hook it up. That is a driver that has one lap to do it right at the end. And the tyres didn't come in maybe for him. The rear looked aggressive from the first corner and it was going away and away. He did well to hang on to it and nearly get through on pace. But just give him two sets of tyres to ensure that you're through into the top 10. Maybe they discussed it. I'm sure they discussed it before qualifying, so it's maybe come from Kimi as much as the team, but I think they've got to deal with the driver they've got.
Behrman out of the car. He will start in 11th, which is where he's finished the last 3 races. And
well, he's getting back in because he's just been told that you're now 11th, so do the standard sit in now until we know that the top 10 are all fine.
But that's it. That was the only time to be deleted was for Kimi Antonelli. It didn't change who progressed.
Okay, you're through. Q3. Again. Fantastic job, man.
Let's go! Again! Oh, yes!
So he's doing a bit good, isn't he?
Yeah, seriously impressive for the reigning Formula 2 champion. And yeah, great run of form. Ever since they put that new floor on the car in Spain, that Sauber has come alive. That might be the expectation that they would have a car in the final part of qualifying. But the fact it is the rookie, Gabriel Bortoletto, really, really strong for him. Gives himself a great foundation to score his 3rd point-scoring finish in Formula 1.
It's a great advert for young drivers and for a Formula 2 champion. I mean, you'd think it'd be obvious. The guy that wins the feeder series is very good in Formula 1, especially if you win it in your rookie year. But it was half a second up on Hülkenberg in Q1. You saw the Nico radio very confused as to where that pace is. But Bortoletto now regularly is there. It's not that shocking that he's up in the top 10. It's another great performance. So what about these Aston Martins?
Well, you were pointing out earlier in the weekend that Aston have a very good Friday a lot of times, and then we get to the sharp end, but they are having a day. Both cars through into the final part of qualifying. They managed it in Imola, they've managed it in Budapest. Let's check in with James Hinchcliffe on his reflections after Q2.
Guys, we talk about the tight margins here at Hungaroring. Let's talk about the difference between the feel-good story of Gabriel Bortoleto and the heartbreak of Lewis Hamilton not making it in. 15 one-thousandths of a second was the difference there between going out in Q2 and making it to Q3. Let's take a look at where that time was. Down the front straight, you can see top speed on both these cars fairly equal as they go downhill into that first braking zone. There's not a lot between it. Fraction of a second for Gabriel on the brakes. A little bit back to Hamilton's favor mid-corner, but again, the exit for Bortoleto, a little bit stronger. Through turn 2 again, it looks like Hamilton's carrying more minimum speed, gets a good run down through turn 3. You can see at the bottom of your screen that green line arcing away in the wrong direction for Bortoleto. Then through turn 4, he starts to get it back. Here through turn 5, just nice and tight front end of that Sauber, really working well. Come down to the chicane. Both drivers look fairly tidy. Hamilton having to take a little bit more of that second chicane, which we know can hurt the acceleration off as that green line just slowly starts trekking back to the middle, heading now through the very fast turn 11, then down onto the brakes again. This is where advantage goes back to Hamilton. You see that little chunk of Bortoleto, little chunk of time, that 16 one-thousandths here. 3 one-thousandths through the second last corner. Hamilton just fighting the wheel. The tires starting to give up. So hard to make them last a full lap around here. Another correction through that last corner for Hamilton, and that is the difference. It is such small margins here. You have to execute every brake point, every turn, and every throttle application if you're going to advance, and huge props to the rookie Gabriel Bortoleto for making it through to Q3 once again.
It is a great comparison, though, that. You've got a rookie and a veteran separated by 15 thousandths, and the margins are so tiny. I really enjoy seeing those comparisons because you see time and time again there is no corner where as much as 1/10 is gained or lost. I think it was about 600ths was the most the time shifted between them. It's a Sauber and a Ferrari, a rookie and a 7-time champ. And even tiny things, as we joined Bortoleto's lap there, he had a tiny slipstream from Charles Leclerc to start the lap. That's 14 thousandths. It's almost nothing, but then when you're 15 thousandths between them, it's exactly what you need to get into the top 10. It's luck that Bortoleto picked that up, but it's these tiny, tiny margins, these minuscule differences that add up to Q3 or a disappointment and you're out in Q2.
Yeah, it will be a disappointment. Lewis Hamilton was 4th fastest earlier on in the final practice session. We've mentioned his incredible record around here already, 11 times on the front row. Mentioned the wins in the poles earlier in the session. We're going to decide pole position now. We've been under the rain clouds for a while. It's skirted the first turn, the 5th turn, but now we find ourselves with Aston Martin having their best qualifying day of the season so far at this stage. Looking at their competitiveness at this stage, Fernando Alonso adores this racetrack. He took his first win here in 2003, and he's still fighting for the major places. He's back in the top 10. He's brought his teammate Lance Stroll as well, who was excellent with that decision to go early. Whether it was Stroll's or the team's, it gave him a chance to get the best of the performance out, not waiting around. The outlap was perfect. Aston Martin are fighting here. We're going to have Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri as well. And then we've got such a great scrap with a great mix of drivers.
Aston Martin have a chance for top 3. That's the state of play right now as we head out for Q3. Russell's in there, but Mercedes don't look that happy. Verstappen's in there, but still doesn't look that happy. Leclerc's performance seems to have dropped away a little bit. Still think he's in with a shout of that top 3, but it certainly is not coming easy to him as it was in practice. Meanwhile, Aston Martin are consistently quick. Fernando didn't go back out in Q2, so he has 2 sets of new tyres to go at this as well. The advantage of hooking it up on that first run of Q2. Stroll did have to have the second run. It was a very good second run, but he did burn through a set of tyres doing that. So he's on a used set now. On new, it is the 2 McLarens and Fernando Alonso for this first run. And we saw George Russell as well, leaving the garage on new tyres because Mercedes risked it a little bit more in Q1.
So we've got Hajar, Bortoletto and Lawson as the full season rookies. You've got Max Verstappen trying to perform heroics in a Red Bull car that has looked far from dialed in. You've got Aston
Yeah, confidence for Scrappy on that tyre. Barely more than half a tenth has separated Norris and Piastri all weekend. Again, trying to hook up these 14 corners, keeping the soft tyres in, having the rear grip for the end of the lap will be critical. Finding your way over the curbs, and really we want to be seeing what they're doing because Norris is already coming through the first sector.
It's going to be great to see what the McLarens can do. We're finishing the lap with the Aston Martin. We'll compare it to Fernando Alonso's time on the new tyres. He's got 2 sets. We are sweet spot. Piastri, Norris, Russell, Alonso, Verstappen in P5. Then Charles Leclerc is in 6th. We've got Lawson in 7th. Bortoletto in 8th. No time for Stroll and Hajar. And it is worth saying that only those in the top 4 were on new boots for run number 1.
Yeah, so this was the scrappy moment that we saw from Stroll, but on his used tyres, he was never going to be on for a competitive lap there. Russell through the final corner, got wide on the entry, but yeah, he did lose a little bit. Never hooked up that late apex, so committed on the way in, but not able to take the gain throughout the rest of the corner there. So Russell with a little bit more to find as well. The track temperature has dropped by about 10 degrees since the start of qualifying. So maybe that's why it's just falling into a Mercedes window and falling out of some other windows.
So spots of rain being reported around the circuit as well. And for whatever reason, the Mercedes in cooler temperatures comes alive. That's how Russell got pole position in 2022. He's a contender from absolutely nowhere. He would have lost time in that final corner. Piastri winning the all-McLaren battle, but we do have a third contender for pole.
All over the place. Very good, yeah, I think.
So that's George's assessment of where the performance has gone. Half a second across the board is what was lost, new tyres to new tyres. Track temperature down, wind up, which suddenly makes it very difficult when you have all of these laps. You have 3 hours of practice, but then quick fire, qualifying, lap after lap, new tyres, trying to dial in, trying to get your references. By this point, you should know exactly what you want to do for each and every corner. But when you've suddenly got gusting winds, you maybe have to brake a little bit earlier in some places. You can maybe actually brake a little bit later in others. Your cornering balance will go all askew as well.
All over the place. Very gusty, I think.
He's going to go back out there, this time with new tyres on the car. He's gone for the same tactic as he did before. Get out there nice and early, let everyone else worry about track placement, try and extract the best performance from the Aston Martin.
So if he replicates what he did in Q2, he'll bang it on provisional pole by 0.3. That's where we're at.
Mate, I'm ready on the outlap. I have again, no grip. It's like literally driving on ice.
That's Max on his outlap so far in Q3, just one set of tyres, and they were used for Verstappen. There he is now in the garage with a new set under those blankets, ready to go. Wouldn't mind watching what Stroll can do now, starting that final lap. Could he be a contender? Alonso's out on circuit just behind him. Aston Martin looking quite quick.
Let's give you the information. Lance Stroll has won Formula One pole position back in Turkey 2020. He led the early part of that lap, and then it was a strategic call for the tyres that saw his chances of a maiden Grand Prix win slip away. If you can fire the tyre temperature into these soft Pirellis, who knows what might happen? Lance Stroll attacking the racetrack, and he is up in the first sector on Oscar Piastri's time. The volume will increase, if that's the case, by the end of Sector 2.
The door is ajar.
Mate, I'm ready on the outlap. I have again, no grip. It's like literally driving on ice.
Opportunity for someone to get in amongst them here. Fernando Alonso may be that person with the fastest first sector.
Lance Stroll is not too far away. Fernando Alonso, if you give him a sniff, if you give him an opportunity, especially around here where he has form in the past, anything could be about to unfold. Lance Stroll aiming for the top 3. Can he get there? It's been a great effort so far. Just the Aston Martin's on track. Stroll to the top 3. He's only a 10th away. Can Fernando Alonso find something mighty in the final 3 corners of the racetrack?
If he can match his teammate's final sector, he's heading to the top. 2 corners to go for Fernando Alonso. Rear grip just dwindling.
I know it's only provisional pole on offer at the moment, but he hasn't been at the front of the field in qualifying since 2012, and he misses out by 0.08 of a second. Fernando Alonso on the front row in an Aston Martin as it stands. They went out early, and Alonso has booked his place at the front. He misses out by 0.08 of a second, and they, this weekend, have come alive.
Absolutely fair play to Aston Martin. They have flattered so many times through practices, and I didn't buy it this time. The amount of times they've ended up in the top 10, and then Stroll's out in Q1, Alonso's towards the end, back end of top 10, or maybe just outside of Q3, but this time they are nailed on.
This is a good lap. It was a pretty good lap, I'd say. Good job.
It's a great lap. It's only 17 thousandths ahead of Stroll. So great lap from Stroll as well. Both of them executing well. Now, what can anyone else do to recover? These are outlaps for the McLarens that we are watching here. Lando Norris with Oscar Piastri just behind him on the circuit, with a little bit more knowledge now of where the track's at for this final lap.
Well, Fernando Alonso just missed out. Oscar Piastri has provisional pole. Norris is in 3rd, Stroll in 4th. If the Aston Martins stay there, it's their best of the season by a mile. 16 points between the top 2 in the Formula One World Championship. Lando Norris trying to do what he did last year and take pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Gotta hook up this lap. There is pressure on this. He's in 3rd, and there are others going quickly as well. Russell.
This is a good lap. It was a pretty good lap, I'd say. Good job.
And of course, pole position is so important around this circuit.
Oscar Piastri soaring away at the steering wheel as he exited turn number 1. The grip is not high right now.
Leclerc's flying. Leclerc is the fastest man in the middle sector. Leclerc might even go top. He's coming through the final corner.
Charles Leclerc has 26 poles in Formula One. Can the Ferrari man do something audacious and take provisional pole? Left-hand side of your picture, Charles Leclerc to pole position. Incredible.
Right. Right, over to the McLarens, who are not improving in the first sector. Norris first through the middle part. He's still down on Leclerc by 0.2.
The track temperature has fallen away and the order has been scrambled. Hadjar goes to 7th position. The top two in the World Championship are trying to fight a Ferrari, but they don't appear to have the pace.
Piastri's got nothing in the middle sector.
Can they take it away from Charles Leclerc? Over the line goes Oscar. But no, Lando Norris goes to 3rd position with the fastest final sector. Oscar Piastri all in at the last corner. Here he comes. This is his last chance to take it away. And Piastri can't do it. He can't do it. It's Charles Leclerc on provisional pole. What's Verstappen doing?
Well, it's an all right first sector, but it's not on a par with Leclerc. He's a 10th down in the first part, but this is the day where you hold on to your hat because you've got no idea where pole might come. Bortoletto comes through, he's 3/10 off pole, 7th place.
That would be his best ever in Formula One. Can Verstappen find a balance? He's 0.3 of a second down. The McLarens have been beaten by Charles Leclerc with the track temperature plummeting.
Right, final sector, Verstappen could potentially go pole. He could go 10th here.
Look at the top four, separated by 0.05 of a second. Max Verstappen to the line. He's only 8th. That's his worst of the season so far. And from absolutely nowhere, Charles Leclerc takes his first pole position of the season, the 27th in his Formula One career. And that is a turn-up at a circuit where we see so many surprises. Here's another one. Ferrari fastest at the end of qualifying. Charles Leclerc on pole.
What a magical session that was.
53 thousandths of a second, 500ths of a second separate the top four on the grid. The rain came, it spitted, the cloud cover plummeted the track temperature, and somehow Charles Leclerc is not only on the front row, which would have been a surprise at the start of the session, he will lead them from the line tomorrow. Only Michael Schumacher has more pole positions for Ferrari than that man, but he will go, how on earth am I fastest? It didn't look possible in practice. That's one thing. Qualifying is another, and it's Ferrari at the front.
I'm just stunned. I am completely stunned. I want all Q3s to be like that. Could it be an Aston Martin, a Mercedes, a Ferrari out of absolutely nowhere? You can see the drizzle on the lens there, but it's really the cloud cover and the wind that's picked up. It's made a big difference as well. And Leclerc threading it. He's on the edge of oversteer, but the grip is still just there as he's coming through the final sector. Wasn't the best final sector. The middle part is where he made the biggest difference.
Willa, P1.
What? Mamma mia! Oh my God.
You can't believe it. You just can't believe it. The way that the track has just changed right at the end there. And he has hooked up a lap on instinct.
The top six separated by just over 1/10 of a second. Pole position decided by 200ths of a second. And when a driver who has competed in Formula One since 2018 is astonished that he's at the front, you know you've seen a qualifying session to remember. Charles Leclerc was pretty hard to pass 1 week ago. McLaren had a different contender at the front, and another stunning Formula One qualifying session.
Willa, P1.
What? Mamma mia! Oh my God.
Tyres at the end, and neither driver improved. Whilst Leclerc did, and Russell almost beat them as well.
James Hinchcliffe is going to ask some questions to the top three. Incredibly, though, they're headed by Charles Leclerc. Let's hear from him.
And now we are here with Charles Leclerc, your pole sitter for the Hungarian Grand Prix, 27th career pole. Charles, I mean, look, the Ferrari's been quick this weekend, easily the second best team, but did you guys think you had that kind of pace in qualifying?
I mean, today I don't understand anything at Formula One. I mean, honestly, the whole qualifying has been extremely difficult. When I say extremely difficult, it's not not exaggerating. It was super difficult. It was difficult for us to get to Q2. It was difficult for us to get to Q3. Q3, the conditions changed a little bit. Everything became a lot trickier, and I knew I just had to do a clean lap to target third. At the end of the day, is pole position. I definitely did not expect that.
A little speechless almost. So you mentioned the conditions changing. How much could you feel that on racetrack? Q1, it was sunny, it was warm. By Q3, we've got this cloud cover. It's really cooled down. Could you feel that grip change on the track?
Yeah, I could definitely feel it a lot, and I was also a bit on the lower side of the downforce. So when the rain started in Q2, I was just hoping that it wouldn't stay there. It didn't. The conditions changed, which made everything very tricky. And at the end, we are on pole position. Honestly, I have no words. Yeah, it's probably one of the best pole positions I've ever had, because it's the most unexpected for sure.
Last week, Oscar said qualifying on pole at Spa, maybe not the best place to start pole. Here, a great place to start pole position. Track position so important here. How confident are you going into the race you can lead out of turn 1 and bring this win home?
Yeah, I mean, the start and turn 1 will be key. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how it will go, but one thing for sure is that I'll do absolutely everything in order to keep that first place. If we manage to do that, then that should make our life easier for the rest of the race.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank
Your
you.
pole
Thank you
sitter,
very much.
Charles Leclerc.
Thank you.
Oscar, you're going to line up P2, front row on the grid tomorrow. I mean, I guess let's start with just how your run went and kind of talk us through how much the track and the conditions changed from Q1 to Q3, because in Q1, you guys were the class of the field, and by Q3, it looked like a real struggle.
Yeah, I think the wind changed a lot. It always sounds so pathetic, blaming things on the wind, but the wind basically did a 180 from Q2 to Q3, and yeah, just meant a lot of the corners felt completely different. And my first lap in Q3 felt pretty terrible because I wasn't used to it, and then I thought the second lap was a lot better, but it was even slower. So yeah, just difficult. Done a good job, so it's going to be a fun race tomorrow with yeah, a bit more involved.
Yeah, can't wait to see the first corner action. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Lando Norris going to be lining up third place for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Lando, I hate to say it, maybe a little bit of a disappointment to not have a McLaren 1-2 lockout.
I mean, yeah, from how our form is, and of course, but I think, yeah, Charles did a good job on the last lap. Probably risked a little bit more in these conditions. The wind changed a lot and really seemed to punish us in a bigger way, it seems. So, I mean, not too many complaints. We thought we both did some good laps at the end, and we were just slow. So nothing to complain of, but Charles did a good job.
How tough was it to make these tires last? I mean, throughout practice, it looked like it was a one-lap tire, but sometimes in qualifying, it looked like it wasn't even a one-lap tire. Best of luck tomorrow.
Cheers,
Lando Norris lining up third place.
My thanks to James Hinchcliffe speaking to the top three. Wow, the wind changed, the temperature changed, and then the order changed. These three have been the top three all weekend long, but at no stage has Charles Leclerc been at the top of the order. And for the first time here since 2017, with Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari will be at the front in Hungary.
Phenomenal. We are set for a real race day tomorrow now, aren't we? Charles saying he's trimmed the car fractionally on not the absolute maximum downforce. They've taken a tiny bit out, which will help the straight line speed. Normally you want to crank it all on. Maybe they found a sweet spot with the aero efficiency of the Ferrari. It's got a lot of fans there as well. If you'd have told me Max Verstappen was going to be 3/10 off pole, I'd have said he's probably in the top three. As it is, he's 8th. That's how close it is.
Well, there can be a form book, but the glorious thing in Formula One is when we throw it out the window. Against all expectations, McLaren will have to pass a car tomorrow, and it was driven by Charles Leclerc, who's taken pole. Goodbye.